And then that's when I think at some point, like, it was more floating action again. I was like, you said I was walking funny.
Yeah, you was walking funny. It was like,
this is what was happening.
You know what it reminded me of? Jim Carrey. Like when he do like them videos or movies where he does like all those exaggerated responses,
Yes.
and it's funny.
Yes.
It was like that.
Right. So you were like looking at me laughing a bit. So I was trying to put on my slippers to go to the kitchen because I was feeling dehydrated. I wanted water. And I'm like, I need to get water. I need to get water. So I went to put my slippers on, and I was struggling to put my slippers on. It was harder to step down than it was to go up.
Right.
That was
because you was vibrating so highly.
Yes.
That it was like you could do anything that you wanted to do or have any ability you wanted to have.
Yes.
And then to put your slippers on required you to vibrate lower.
Yes. It was gravity defying. It was like what I was experiencing it. So I'm like, this is hard. So now I'm walking around doing my thing, and I don't know, was I in here and then you came out?
At some point you was sitting.
Yeah, we gotta talk about when I was like, don't do that. Cause yeah, I was sitting there.
Yeah.
I was like, I kept saying, Puff, if you need to, close the door because I didn't want to freak you out. And I needed to experience this to the max. Like I didn't want to even be concerned. Like I didn't want to, like, you said you good. I need to experience this and really see where it's taking me. So at some point I'm sitting at the table, right? And then you came out and you were like laughing, and I think you said something like, yo, like you're experienced at this. Like,
yeah,
it seems like
I was like, cause you was out here and you was making a lot of noises.
Yeah.
Like, so
right.
I stepped out and I'm just like, are you serious? Like, don't act like you on some beginner level type experience. Like you've done ayahuasca, you've done bufo, you've done mushrooms before. So why are you acting like it's affecting you like that serious? And I felt like, cause we had already related that we had saw the geometrical shape. So I'm like, I seen it too, and it didn't cause that type of reaction. You doing a bit much, and you know, is it that serious? And then you was trying to explain to me that it was, and I still wasn't
because
getting
you understand too, my tone, I'm talking clear right now, but under that, my body's contorting, so it's also contorting my throat and my tongue, and it's like I'm talking like this, and I'll have to take deep breaths to get a clear thought out. What I received to talk, to explain the experiences that were happening, it's not of the frequency that is what I experienced, the highest frequency. And it's like to talk is just too much. So I'd be like, this is what I said to you. I said, cause you left. I remember you left shaking your head like, hey, this motherfucker out here playing like he doing way too much. He's supposed to be the shaman. And I didn't respond, and I had to think about it because I'm also going through it like, okay, so now you're trying to play me. All right. So then you came back and I said, Puff, don't do that. I said, listen, you projecting. I'm living and experiencing my life. Like I'm going through what I'm going through and I'm explaining it. And you know, I like the fact that you are open to what I'm doing, but I'm not yet this experienced shaman who's guiding others. Like that will be a part of the goal, but that's not what's happening. I'm just experiencing my life. And the alchemy of everything is different from when I took the mushrooms last time. I was in a completely different space. I wasn't eating any fruit. You know, today was fruit. It was good conversation. It was meaningful things. There was things that was happening. Like I said, it appears that you had an accident at your job. But that, how I interpret it, it was just the magnetic energy between us. Things had to happen. Like, you know, it had to happen that way. And everything lined up for us to even have the time to experience that, because we could have words and that. No.
It was just like a coincidence that you was off for the next 2 days.
Right.
And then I clearly got off
Right.
for
He was
forever with that job. So we have a lot of free time.
Right. And there is no coincidences. You know, it's just the sync of it. And when the syncs happen, we take advantage of it. We take advantage of the opportunity. We have to, that's vibrating from the heart. So again, I was like, Puff, that's not what it is. I'm experiencing my life, and don't project, just experience. So I don't know when you made a 180, because then you came out and your conversation was so on point. It was like you were speaking the thoughts that I wasn't able to, because I'm like, right, yeah. This is what's happening, and you're like, I don't know if you remember what you were saying, but you were like, it was.
I said something like, it's like you can't, to try to describe it ends up not describing it, because it's something that's constantly changing. Like it's just this welcoming positive energy that's around all of us, and it's always inviting us to absorb it, and you could choose to or not. But even in what I just said about it, that is just like a mustard seed to what it actually is. But you don't have the words to describe it. You can only experience it.
I don't know if there's a physical language that can express what it is that we were experiencing. And there was a disconnect. There were times that I was trying to express to you that I was one with the geometry that you were observing. You know what I mean? I was trying to express it, and because it wasn't there, it just wasn't making sense at the time. So a lot of the night, I was just trying to express that, like, this is what's happening, like, this is what's happening. But like I said, it made more sense to you, because at one point we went back into the room, and I was sitting in the chair, and you came to the realization that the way we sit, the postures that we have, the right posture, it allows for us to tune into that frequency and perpetuate that frequency and sense it and be one with it. Even if we're not aware of it, we pick up on that. The way the human body is we're literally tuning devices, right? So we're picking up on that, and it's very important. What you were saying was that, like, we need to pick the forms that are most beneficial for us and keep them as long as possible. And while you were doing that, I'm in the chair fixing my posture, just being one with every single thing you said. And I'm like, yes, you're getting it. And then what the realization was in regards to certain ancient sculptures, whether it be in the Americas or in Africa and Egypt, you know, they left certain sculptures that are literally a form, you know, sitting upright and all other types of stuff. They are expressing yoga poses, because all of these things are necessary for us to tune into what we aren't aware of, what's happening all the time. And the geometry is literally making those poses, because I'm not a yoga master. I want to be able to breathe better and all of these things, but I was in there all over the house like this.
That's all you kept. All you would hear the whole night is those noises. And I'm just like, is he serious? Right.
And then, so yeah, you start.
But like the thing is that, like, people always say, like, the universe will give you signs and to put you on the right path. And then it sounds cheesy sometimes when people be like, oh, if you see certain numbers or you see certain symbols, like, this is actual signs from the universe. And when you sit in, like, upright postures and empowering postures, like confident, you know, positive postures, it allows you to tap into the signs at a more intense rate, and to just know for sure, like, this is for me, like.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You don't doubt yourself anymore.
There are postures for doubt. Right. This is what you were discovering. Like, you know, if we slunched over and this and that, it creates that.
Or like you tuck your head down.
Right.
Maybe go like that. Like, it all affects it.
Right. And that's a frequency. You know, there's protection in being upright. upright person, upright being, because it's tuning into that electrical energy and that frequency. So what happened next? Like, I'm trying to think. So again, I'm going through different phases. I'm thinking that all she has to do is just be in a position to just receive it. But then it got to the point where it didn't matter for me what position I was in. The frequency, my body became the organ to the geometry around. I would do things like this. I remember going to the bathroom one time, right? So I'm like, I'm having a little pain too. Like, I gotta pee, I got this. I don't know what I gotta do. So I sit on the toilet, and when I sit in the toilet, I start to do this. I'm doing all of these hoses, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to be in this bathroom doing that all night. If I'm gonna do this, let me do it somewhere with a little more open. I'm 6'4". I'm like, I don't want to be in this bathroom experiencing this. But it did intensify in the bathroom. I'll say that, intensified. So I got out and I sat back out here, and I came to a realization, another download. I was like, okay, the human body, right? In respect and like, there's certain circles that down talk mushrooms. I would even say the fruitarian Arjenis was not about ingesting any mushrooms at all. And I wasn't a proponent of psychedelics either, you know? What I surmise, right? Everything has a function, not necessarily a bad or good thing. But psilocybin or mushrooms, they're here to decompose organisms. That's their function. They're here to transition what is living. So me ingesting that, you ingesting that, what happened is I became physically, dehydrated, because also the dehydrated version. And what was happening is inside, I guess it allowed for my water molecules to experience the frequency outside. And it also, when I was doing that, I was hearing intense. It was so intense. That's an understatement. I was hearing that, and I was also, I couldn't breathe. So I would go like this, and I could stay there for long, but then I'd have to take a breath. Like, and I had to come out of it. And I was laying right here, and I'm like, yo, Puff, I figured it out. I figured out what's going on. If I stayed in that geometry, I might just, it's over for me. Like, it's done.
You might end up transitioning.
It's the transition. So it was like anything after that, you're one with the plasma. The fourth state of matter, whether it be solid, liquid, gas, plasma. And I knew once, because even in the beginning, this action, laying down, it was allowing for like my spirit to leave my vessel. So my body would contort in that and be one with everything, with all of it.
And that's what they're doing in certain indigenous cultures, where they put on like certain masks and just like certain body piercings and do these tribal dances. Yep. They're just giving respect to that high vibrational energy.
Yep.
So, and it's almost like they're telling a story, like you said.
Yep. Right, because it's all the story. It's everything. Like how we expressed. It didn't just start with the mushrooms. That's why I didn't want to do a review of mushrooms. It's really just a part of our lives that we're experiencing, and the mushrooms was the vehicle that allowed us, or it encouraged us to experience what we aren't in tune with all the time. Mm-hmm. So I just kept coming out of the reality of, okay, if I do that, I'm not gonna be here anymore. I'm just gonna, and I didn't want to do that, and then like
I also felt something like that, like, and that's why I was like very resistant, because at one point I knew that if you absorb that energy and feed into it, then there's no turning back. Everything from your reality that you grasp to, that gives you comfort, you would have to let go. Like a part of yourself will die.
Mm.
And now you're on to just having faith in this like supreme energy.
Right. And another thing that happened, right? It's I wasn't only hearing it, the sound blew out of me. Especially when I was in the bathroom. Like I went back to the bathroom and I was in complete indigenous, like it took over. It intense. I was on the floor, I contorted and it went like this. Right?
Yeah, it was a lot of noises.
With a lot of noises. If I can, that's my best way to try to emulate it. But that's me even doing that. Cause I remember when I was in the room with you, I was trying to explain without like try to relive it, and it felt so inauthentic. It was like, yo, I can't even explain it. I can only be it, Puff. I can only be it. When I try to let you know what I'm experiencing, I felt like I was being phony. Even now, it's like my throat hurts doing it. When I was doing that, I was feeling exhilarated to the point where I was like, woo. I was like floating in the bathroom, like, oh my gosh. And I told you, I was like, my head, like I remember my head was in the tub, like over the tub. And you came like, why was your head in the tub? I was like, well, I wasn't my intention. My body just contorted in ways where I was no longer in control. I was no longer, like, I was hearing it, but the hearing of this frequency was now bellowing out of me. And I'm gonna speak on this. We'll show my session as well, but this happened in my third Bufo session. This is what happened. I remember after smoking the Bufo, I thought I just collapsed like I did in my first two times. But after smoking it, my body contorted and I bellowed out that frequency. At the time, I didn't know what happened. The people around me, because Bufo lasts 15 minutes, once I was coming down and I was more present on this frequency, people around me were crying. This woman said, I could feel your pain. And in that moment, I was like, pain? But I felt like I had to I was gratitude that she shared whatever I expressed at that moment, because I didn't know what I expressed. But I just was like, okay, pain. All right, maybe it was. And then it was. It wasn't, it wasn't. It was everything. I remember feeling gratitude and just crying on the floor, all that stuff. So it looked like it was a lot of pain, but it was, you know what? It was a release of pain. It was a release of pain, forgiveness and gratitude, all of those things. And with this, it was literally being one with it. And I'll say at that frequency, there are no thoughts of hate. There's no thoughts of anything. And it's just being with and present with it. And that frequency is intense, it's no breath. I guess it would be the after this vessel. It's like I was getting there, and I don't want to get there. Just to be clear, I don't want to experience that. There's much to experience now. You know. So, you want to say something?
I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I could see I was on the stream. I was going in. So eventually, you came, and then it was more of just trying to let you know what I was experiencing. I was just like, listen,
right.
Prof, listen, this is, it ain't even, you were trying to make sense of it. And at some point, at some part of the night, you realized that I had become one with that. I was no longer the observer.
And that's why our experiences were so different.
Right.
You became one with it and it took over your body.
Yes.
And then I resisted it and just observed it.
Right.
But I kept my distance. I didn't let it, I didn't absorb it.
Right.
So.
Right. And that was the disconnect, but it wasn't, I don't want to think of it as the disconnect. It was just the fact that we're experiencing it and it was necessary for you to experience it that way. Right, because again, I experienced it my way, the time I experienced it, and we're all going through the phases so we can appreciate it, because it's not like as thrilling as it is, I would say there needs to be a respect and integrity with it, and a reverence to it, like understanding like it's amazing, it's joy, it's respect, it's seriousness, it's all of that all rolled in on one. And it's just an experience. It's just being
it's definitely an experience that allows you to be present.
right.
Because at the end, we were super present. Like, your mind, it's no more thinking involved. Like, the only thing that really mattered at the end was the moment that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, Arjenis was saying things like, let's turn our phones off. Like, the 5G is affecting us. And I'm just like, none of that matters, because now we know that there's this energy that's all around us that we can tune into at any time.
Right.
And to act on that lower frequency of 5G, we need to act on that. No, that's taken away from us putting energy into the higher frequency. Just let it be what it is, just observe it, and then just only feed that high vibrational energy.
Right. I totally understood that. And at the time, I wanted to turn my phone off, because I was like, if I'm contorting to the frequency, I'm pretty sure this might be turn it off, turn the phone off, turn everything off, And I'll say this, right? There's that reality, and there's also reality where, if we're in nature, it'll probably be more intense, because the electrical energy perpetuating through things is a little more fluid than it is in a city environment. But it doesn't. Also, I was like, we don't have to be in that tropical environment as long as we're in tune. Like, that tropical environment is perpetuating through us at all times. We have the option to tune into it. Right.
So the effects of it are contentment, like bliss. You're content with what you have, because you realize that anything that you might think that you require to make your life better does not compare to this energy that surrounds us. Like, so you don't feel the need to, I want my life to be like this anymore, because anything that you could imagine your life being like doesn't compare.
There's no words.
No words to describe it.
There's no words. There's no words to the feeling that was vibrating through us. There's no words that could express it. Nothing.
Because as soon as you try to express it, first of all, it's always changing. It could be anything, like anything. And then as soon as you try to explain it and say, okay, it's this, that's not what it is, because it's always changing. You just have to have faith in it. Like, it's weird. It's always changing, but it's always the same. Like, the visual is always changing, but the feeling that comes from that energy is pretty much always the same. So no matter what you see with your eyes, you just have to have faith that this energy is going to be for your best interest. Because it is. It is.
Yeah, that's the truth. I don't know what to say after that. It's for our best interest. I would say this though, after the effects, like, I'm like, I did like open my phone and go through it, and everything felt pointless. Like, I was like, or at least what I was seeing, it was just like, I remember telling myself, I gotta like unfollow all of this stuff. I gotta like only receive frequency that's gonna amplify. And then there's also a realization where it's like, again, it's all the same reality for us to tune into that intense high frequency. It's also a choice to tune into other ones. We're here to experience the choice. It's we choose that. It's okay. It's okay to. I prefer the high frequency. I'm like, I wanna vibrate that. But it's just beautiful, man.
It's okay, because everybody is a part of it.
Right.
So even if you choose not to tap into it, that don't change the fact that it's always present with you.
Right. Again, going back to the fact that like the series of events that got you here today. Also, there was a 99% full moon last night as well. 99%, so that was pretty full. The energy was really intense. like the fact that you went through what you went through to be here is like you didn't plan that, but the frequency is pushing us to do. Yeah.
And then it was like no resistance in the moves to get here. Like I just felt like I had to go.
Right.
Like I felt like I was doing what was best for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know why. Like I didn't plan on doing mushroom. I was way like anti-mushroom.
Right.
I didn't want to do psychedelics unless I was under the guidance of an experienced shaman.
Right.
Because that type of stuff kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. Anything could happen with that. And then in society, sometimes we're programmed to believe that psychedelics are like this, like something that crazy people do.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't plan on doing mushrooms or nothing like that. I just know that I enjoy like talking to Arjenis, spending time with Arjenis, and we definitely had like since day one of us meeting each other, we've always had a strong bond, and we met like online, and we had a connection immediately. So it was only recently that we actually met each other in person.
Right. It was all our moments are really intense and really meaningful and purposeful. You know, we both yearn for those moments. You know, so it keeps us together. It continues to attract us. You know, even the whole mantra of oneness and wholeness. It came into all fruition. Like it just every word we speak matters. It has a vibration. It has a frequency. You know, wholeness, oneness. You know, we're all one. We're all here. You know, we're all experiencing. And I just give gratitude to it all. You know, I give gratitude.
Yeah. So I feel like to wrap it up, we could just talk about the side effects of doing the magic mushrooms.
All right. I mean, I feel like we just went through a series of side effects. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was a series of side effects. Like, I want to say this. I posted a video prior to this that's about 7 minutes. I felt compelled. I posted it on Instagram. Ready for R Instagram. RADY, number 4, letter R. Ready for R Instagram. Also, Arjenis Cooper on Instagram. I posted a video just letting the world know what I experienced. And people ask me the gram amount, all of these things. And it's bigger than that. Because like earlier, I took more last time. I didn't experience any of what I experienced this time. It's the whole coming together of it which allowed for this moment for us to experience the way we did, Also, in respect to that video, people, they enjoyed it, and I found it necessary to express this. And also, I want to say, don't go into it thinking that if you use mushrooms, that you're gonna have the whole, like, don't go into it with that. Don't even go into it with the idea you're gonna observe everything. Like, allow for yourself to experience and appreciate that. Like,
because your experience could vary,
right,
depending on when you do it.
Right.
It's no guarantee that you're gonna have any type of experience. It depends on a lot of things.
Right. And to be all the way truth, it depends on the history, the moments of love you have, the moments of trauma. All of these things come to fruition. Like I said, there were moments when I closed my eyes and I saw you like in an X-ray type of thing. Like I saw like your skeletal. The idea of seeing skeleton is, we're programmed to think of Halloween, it's scary stuff. But although I'm aware of that, I chose not to give energy. I didn't like back up and say, like all I kept doing was smiling, so I don't want to project that you'll have the experience that I had. If you listen, I went through a rites of passage, through multiple things to experience what I experienced and to make sense of it. Don't just experience it. Just experience it and be one with you and be honest. You know, I wouldn't say don't be afraid of what the bad trips. Like that's what if it's a bad trip, that's purposeful for you. You know, if it's a good trip, that's purposeful for you. If you experience the observation, whatever you experience it, just allow it and be one with it. You know, I think that's cool, right?
Yeah, I think we did a good job.
You know, I think that's it. Should we like talk about intentions or?
What intentions?
Like shamanism, like we're gonna have a place that people can come to retreat, those type of stuff. Like eventually, like
I feel like we could do that in another video.
there you go, peace, love, wholeness, oneness.